I'm going to try and uncover what really led to the death of Michael Patrick at the age of just 35, and whether it truly was the same disease that had already affected his father years earlier. Michael Patrick's story is one that I find deeply tragic and difficult to forget. He was only 35 years old when his life came to such an unexpected and heartbreaking end. At an age where most people are building their futures, strengthening relationships, and planning long lives ahead, Michael's journey was suddenly cut short. He left behind a family and a circle of friends who were not only devastated by his loss, but also confused and searching for answers. What makes his story even more painful is that his death did not come as the result of an accident, nor from a commonly understood illness. Instead, it stemmed from something much more hidden and insidious, a genetic condition that had been silently present within his family for years, possibly even generations, without anyone fully understanding its risks. This condition, as it turns out, had been passed down from his father. His father had lived with the disease for a long time, though even in his case, it had remained somewhat mysterious. The symptoms were there, but they were never fully connected to a clear diagnosis early on. Like many genetic disorders, it did not always present itself in obvious or predictable ways. It could remain dormant or subtle for years before suddenly becoming severe. That's one of the most dangerous aspects of hereditary diseases. They can stay hidden, almost invisible, quietly progressing beneath the surface. Families often don't realize they are at risk until it is far too late. In Michael's case, his family had no real understanding that they might be vulnerable. They knew his father had struggled with health issues, but they didn't know those issues could be inherited or that they could manifest so aggressively in the next generation. For a long time, his father's illness was something the family simply lived with, without fully grasping its nature. There was uncertainty, but not clarity. There were symptoms, but not a clear warning. And because of that, no one was prepared for what would eventually happen to Michael. The disease itself is considered rare, which only added to the difficulty in identifying and managing it. It affects the body's ability to properly break down certain proteins, leading to a buildup that can damage various systems in the body. Disorders like this often fall into categories that are not widely recognized by the general public, and even medical professionals may take time to diagnose them accurately. The symptoms can vary widely from person to person. Some individuals may experience only mild effects for years, while others may see rapid progression once the disease becomes active. In Michael's situation, the condition appeared to escalate quickly once it began to take hold. Looking back, his family now recognizes that there were warning signs. In his early 30s, Michael began experiencing unusual fatigue. At first, it didn't seem alarming. Many people in their 30s feel tired due to work, stress, or daily responsibilities. But this fatigue was different. It lingered, deepened, and didn't improve with rest. Along with the fatigue came muscle weakness. Tasks that had once been simple started to feel more difficult. Physical strength declined gradually, almost imperceptibly at first, but then more noticeably as time went on. Still, these symptoms were not immediately linked to anything serious. There were also subtle changes in his cognitive function. He sometimes struggled with concentration, memory, or clarity of thought. Again, these signs were easy to dismiss in the beginning. Life can be overwhelming, and mental fatigue is common. No one immediately suspected that something more serious was happening beneath the surface. Unfortunately, these early symptoms were only the beginning. As time passed, Michael's condition worsened. The progression of the disease became more aggressive and harder to ignore. What had once been mild discomfort turned into serious health concerns. His body was no longer able to compensate, and the effects became increasingly visible. He began experiencing seizures, which were both frightening and dangerous. These episodes marked a turning point. It was clear that something was seriously wrong. Seizures are often a sign of neurological involvement, indicating that the disease was affecting his brain as well as his body. His vision also started to deteriorate. This added another layer of difficulty to his daily life. Losing clarity of sight made even simple tasks challenging and further signaled that the disease was spreading its impact across multiple systems. Walking became difficult as well. Coordination and balance were affected, making movement uncertain and sometimes unsafe. The combination of muscle weakness, neurological symptoms, and fatigue created a situation that was rapidly becoming unmanageable. During this time, his family desperately tried to get him the help he needed. They sought medical advice, consultations, and tests, hoping for answers. But the diagnosis was not immediate. Rare genetic conditions are often difficult to identify, especially when symptoms overlap with more common illnesses. Doctors needed time to piece together the puzzle. Each symptom on its own could point to many different conditions. It was only when the full picture came into focus that they began to suspect a genetic cause. By the time the correct diagnosis was made, the disease had already advanced significantly. The delay, though understandable given the complexity of the condition, proved to be devastating. Early detection might have offered more options, more time, or at least a clearer understanding of what was happening. Sadly, Michael's condition continued to decline. Despite efforts to manage the symptoms and slow the progression, the damage had already been done. His body could no longer cope with the effects of the disease. When he passed away, it left his family completely shattered. Grief was mixed with confusion, regret, and a deep sense of loss. They were not only mourning his death but also struggling to understand how something like this could have happened without warning. The moment when they finally connected Michael's illness to his father's disease was particularly painful. It was a realization that came too late, a realization that what they had once seen as separate health issues were actually part of the same genetic story. They had always known that his father had been sick, but they had not understood the hereditary nature of the condition. They had not known that it could be passed down, or that it could manifest even more severely in the next generation. That realization brought with it a wave of emotions. There was sadness, of course, but also a sense of missed opportunity. They wondered if things could have been different if they had known earlier. Could they have taken preventive steps? Could earlier testing or monitoring have made a difference? These are questions that don't have easy answers, but they are ones that many families in similar situations find themselves asking. The impact of this hereditary disease on Michael's life and his family has been profound. It has changed the way they think about health, genetics, and the importance of medical awareness. It has also highlighted how vulnerable people can be to conditions they don't even know they carry. Hereditary diseases are often described as silent threats for this very reason. They can exist unnoticed for years, only becoming apparent when significant damage has already occurred. This makes awareness and early detection incredibly important. Families with a history of unexplained illnesses or recurring symptoms may benefit from genetic counseling or testing. Understanding potential risks can provide an opportunity to take proactive steps, even if those steps are simply monitoring and early intervention. Michael's story serves as a powerful reminder of this reality. It shows how important it is to ask questions, to look into family medical history, and to take concerns seriously even when they seem minor at first. At the same time, it also reflects the emotional toll that such conditions can take. Beyond the physical symptoms, there is the psychological impact, the uncertainty, the fear, and the grief that comes with losing someone too soon. For Michael's family, the experience has left a lasting mark. It has changed their perspective on health and has likely influenced how they approach medical care moving forward. It has also strengthened their desire to raise awareness so that others might not go through the same experience. In the end, Michael Patrick's story is not just about a disease. It is about a life that ended too soon, a family that was left searching for answers, and a condition that remained hidden until it was too late. It's a story that encourages us to think more deeply about our own health histories and to recognize the importance of knowledge when it comes to genetic conditions. If there's anything to take away from this, it's the value of awareness and communication within families. Talking about health issues, asking questions, and seeking medical advice when something feels off can make a difference. Stories like Michael's are difficult, but they also serve an important purpose. They remind us that behind every medical condition is a human life, a family, and a set of experiences that deserve to be understood and remembered. If you have any thoughts on hereditary diseases, or if you've encountered similar situations in your own life or within your family, feel free to share them. These conversations can help spread awareness and maybe even prevent future tragedies. And if you're interested in more discussions like this exploring health, family histories, and the hidden factors that shape our lives, consider staying connected for more. Thanks for the watching and subscribe.